Okay, but before we have me, we're going to have a little special taste of the gift guide presentation that we went over. We had so many items that we were presenting that we did not have time to show the stocking stuffers. So with that, the presenter, Dave McGuire, is going to take over and share his screen and do his presentation for us.
Greetings, one and all. No matter what holiday you will be celebrating this upcoming season, I have found some inexpensive gifts sure to please the Apple fan in your life. Everything that follows can be found on Amazon.com. So, getting along for our holiday season here. My name is Dave McGuire. Some quick info about me. I was in the printing and typesetting business for 30 years. In 2005, I joined Apple Retail and was a Mac genius for 15 years. This year, I retired from Apple in August. Some people also know me from Mac Group Detroit. We moved from Michigan to Tennessee last October after my wife retired. Only took me 9 months to realize I envied her freedom. All right. The first item, which got me started on this whole thing, is the Elago Classic Pencil Case. What a clever idea this is. This product was just released, and I just think it's brilliant. It currently retails for $11.99 US, plus tax and shipping, unless you're a Prime member with Amazon. It also allows all the functions the Apple Pencil 2 has to work as expected. It does make the pencil slightly larger, but the 6 sides I have found improves grip for many people. It is just the cleverest thing going in my mind. The other nice thing is, you want it in a different color? We have colors. I think many of us grew up having a number 2 pencil at some point in time in our life, and it seemed that all the cool kids had ones in different colors. I personally prefer the yellow, but that's me. Do you have an Apple Watch? Or do you know someone that has an Apple Watch? These should put a smile on every Apple fan's face. Here, these are watch charging stands. Okay. Now, they're simple to use. Your watch charger cable simply slides inside, and then you can stand it up on your desk or your nightstand to use. It's very elegant, simple design. Again, these sell for either $11.99 or $12.99, depending on which version of the old iPod you prefer. Oh, hang on, correction. That was on sale. They currently are $12.99 for the white gray model, $14.99 for the black red. I would imagine that they'll probably still be running Cyber Week sales the rest of this week. They're really clever and they're really nice.
Those are cute.
How about, oh, I skipped one. I am sorry. There we are. Now, how about an Apple TV remote? Many people complain about misplacing / losing their remote, especially when they were the smaller, thinner ones. I've been an Apple TV remote cover user for quite a while. This brand new one that just came out is easy to use and to find because it has a spot for you to put your Apple tag. So if you are the person that usually loses it, perhaps in the couch, somewhere in the kitchen, from the bedroom, or in my case, out in the garage, I have no idea how it ended up in the garage, but it did. This thing is just great. You pop the AirTag in, pop the remote into the case. It has a nice little bit of bulk to it. So that way, when you're holding it, it doesn't slip out of the hand as easy as they used to. This is $14.99, again, on Amazon, and it is made by Elago, E-L-A-G-O.
Does it have a particular name, Dave?
Yeah, I think if you just put in, if you go to Amazon and you type in Apple TV remote case and AirTag, this will come up first in your search history.
Okay.
It's very, very popular, and they just seem to be flying off the shelves from my understanding. Now,
Thanks.
let's say you have an older style remote. For those of you that haven't upgraded to the new Siri remote yet, your next option is one of these. Now, I'm not a big fan of the strap going on there, but my kids seem to think it was a good idea if you were using the remote, if you were playing a game on the Apple TV. They thought it was quite helpful. This case currently runs for $10.99 on Amazon. It's a nice silicone case, and one of the coolest features is it has magnets in it, so you can attach it to the side of your TV, or in our kitchen, we have it attached to the side of the fridge. So that way the remote is always in one spot and we don't have to search for it. They also make, for people who have a plastic frame TV, they make a thin strip of metal that you can use with this that has two-sided tape on one side and will allow you to adhere it to the side of the TV. And then now you have a piece of metal for the case to attach to. It's pretty cool. It works great. They also make other cases in multiple colors, including one that glows in the dark. I thought was a really good idea. You just have to let it sit out in some sunlight for a while so it'll actually glow. But we, at one point, were color coding all our remotes so we knew which room they came in. I believe they've got probably about a dozen different colors you can choose from. So again, you can look for this on the Amazon website and decide what color is best for you.
Can the strap come off?
Yes, it can. The strap is easily to be removed from the corner of the cover. The other remote cover also has a strap that can be put on it as well. So that way you can wrap it around your wrist and you don't have to worry about it disappearing, say if you doze off during a movie, which happens in my house a lot. So cool. Next up, Airpod Pro. So with the Airpod Pro or the regular AirPods, you know, a case is not a bad thing to have on those. So if you were to get one, let's go back to that retro style again. They make a watch charger that looks like an old Macintosh 128, which I have. And then next to it is the AirPod Pro case that, again, resembles the Mac 128. They also make similar iPod style cases, again, in the silver and gray, or if you are a YouTube fan, you can get the YouTube edition in the black and red as well. The iPod Pro case that looks like the 128 retails for $13.99. The matching Apple Watch stand retails for $12.99. The iPod style cases for the iPad Pro or iPod Pros, they run $11.99 and $12.99 if you want it with a keychain on it. which may not be a half bad idea for a lot of people. All right. The following product is one of the things that made me put this list together. I just think it is so cool. For all of us that have AirTags or are considering AirTags, there are a number of keychain holders, luggage tag holders, and other devices to put the AirTags into. I recently traveled back to Michigan in September, and I put my AirTag on a bright yellow loop on my suitcase that I carried on. And every time I looked at it, I did the, man, that's really obvious. I mean, I appreciate the whole point of it, but it just seemed that it was just so obvious that it was coming off like a security device. Well, Elago has made this case that looks like a small iPod Shuffle. And it's really simple. It's really, I would say, non-invasive to your vision. Most people would look at it and not think twice. They would just think that you have a small old iPod hanging on your bag. This retails for $10 on Amazon. It comes with the keychain, which you can remove the ring if you don't want it, but I think it makes a great way to be able to clip it onto something, or even put a little carabiner clip on it to hang on to a bag of some sort. So this is something that got me started with all of this. And when Chita asked me if I would put together a small list of things, I was more than happy to help out. And hopefully this will help someone here find something for the holidays to put in a stocking or a small gift that doesn't break the bank. Since people spent big money last time, my goal was to try to keep everything under $20. If you want to spend more money, I can help you with that too, but I think we'll stick with these today. So that's where we're at.
All right.
Now, 100% happiness guaranteed, asterisk mark, which means unless you miss the holiday return policy, whoever gets one of these gifts should be tickled all the way around. Now, my legal disclaimer on these, I am not a paid spokesman for Apple, for Amazon, or for Elgato or Elago. My legal disclaimer is your mileage may vary, shipping times may vary, so order early. Prices subject to change without notice. Presenter not affiliated with Elago or Amazon. Views presented are strictly the presenters. There's no pleasing some people. Thank you very much for letting me go on, and I hope that your holiday season brings you joy.
Thanks, David.
I have two questions for you, Dave.
Sure.
First question is from Jill. She wants to know, what does an AirTag do? She's not familiar.
Oh, well then, let's do a little education for those of us that are not up to speed on this. An AirTag is a great way for you to toss it in, say, a bag or your purse, or attach your car keys to it. So you can, if for some reason you misplace something, because who among us has not misplaced something at some point in time? I would recommend an AirTag. It is similar to what a company called Tile came out with probably 6-7 years ago. And this is Apple's. They sell for $29 a piece. You can buy a 4-pack for $99. And I have seen there's been many places this past week selling the 4-pack for as low as $89. So if you wanted that, you could get this little tag. It takes a small 3022 battery, I believe it is, which are extremely inexpensive. And you typically, from my understanding, is they need to be replaced about once a year. But if you are a person who misplaces things or travels a great deal, this will allow you to use the Find My app and locate where you left something. So the point behind having the ability to find that remote that you didn't know where you left it is great. Another thing that you can do is put it in your glove box, and it'll sort of give you an idea where your device is. They do not recommend putting them in children's backpacks. They do not recommend hanging them on your pet to see where your dog or cat runs off to. There are other devices that work much better for that, because this device does rely on Bluetooth. So if you have it in an area and someone with an iPhone is nearby, it will ping the location of where that iPhone is. It will not give you any information about whose iPhone it is or even what model it is. And that is because of privacy. But it is a great little device to allow you to track things down fairly easily. And it's now been out for almost a year. And I think many, many people might enjoy it. You can also get them personalized with initials or different icons that they have available. I would recommend that you take a visit to apple.com, and under accessories at the top of the screen, click on that, and then you'll see AirTags. And you can from there get more information from the Apple website directly and decide, is this something that you might be interested in? This might be a great stocking stuffer for someone in your family as well. And if you buy a 4-pack, you can give them one and keep 3. So that's up to you.
All right, Marcia has a question. Marcia, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
How do they attach?
So they attach by using a device like what looks like a keychain fob. They sell those. Otherwise, it's the size of about a 50-cent piece. So it's a good size. And honestly, it's coin shaped. So it's easy enough to slip into a pocket, drop into a purse, throw into a backpack, heck, even throw into your luggage if you want to do it that way. That way it's hidden on the inside. I've seen a lot of people, though, that have the different adapters, or as they call it, a loop that works.
Right.
And again, that is on the website. Apple makes them. Elago makes them. Belkin makes them. Belkin makes some very nice and expensive ones as well. So if you've got some money on your Apple account that's burning a hole, you can drop a quick $15 for one of the Belkin ones. They make them in silicone. They make them in leather. I think there's more than you can choose from.
Right. I just found it on Best Buy, by the way.
Thank you.
4-pack.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
David Winograd, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? Can you spotlight Dave, please, instead of me? Dave, can you share your screen? Hold on a second, David. David McQuire, can you share your screen?
I can.
Great.
Am I sharing you?
You're sharing your screen now. Go ahead.
Okay.
David Winograd, go ahead.
Okay, I think it was answered, but it was on the pencil case. And
Yes.
The question is, does the magnet still work on the iPad Pro?
Yes, it does. Which was one of the first things my thought was, well, is this going to interfere with the wireless charging and the magnet? And no, it does not. It works great.
Wonderful. They sold one. I can finally use the theoretic button on the pencil that I've never been able to find.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Mitch, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I use the AirTags. I love them. I have 4, and I'm probably going to get 4 more. But 2 comments on the AirTags. I got some very strong 2-sided tape that's pretty inexpensive, cut a little piece off, stuck it on the air tag, and then put it underneath the bottom of my bike seat. Because I figured, well, if I put it in a saddlebag, that's the first place somebody who steals your bike is going to look. But I had a little space on the underneath side of my bike seat, put it on there, and it works great. The other thing that I found is that on the Find My, the actual AirTag works much quicker than finding a person who is allowing you to find them. And because I noticed that my wife, I can find her, but I can find her keychain a lot quicker, which is right in her purse next to her. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. And I got one more thing that I'd like to touch on with the AirTags. Dave, can you pull the AirTags back up on your screen?
Sure, give me a second. Which one? The
AirTags?
okay.
Yes. Yeah, okay. So, and you can see the loop where the AirTag is attached to. There was an article in the news recently, and I really thought it was a little bit deceptive the way the person was framing this, because Apple has really made note that you cannot throw an AirTag in like someone's pocket and try to follow them. Dave, do you have any comment on that use?
Right. So that also is part of the privacy part, because let's say I see Chita at the mall and I drop an AirTag in her purse and she goes on her way. One, that's super creepy. But two, Apple made sure that that wouldn't happen because Chita being Chita, she has an iPhone. And if she gets far enough away from me, say halfway home, she'll get an alert on her phone telling her, hey, there's an AirTag within 10 feet of you. And if she does the what the heck and finds the AirTag, the easiest way to disable that is to open the AirTag up and remove the battery. And boop, that AirTag's useless. Now, can Chita use that, say, in 6 months from now as her own personal AirTag? Nope, she can't. It's just a hunk of metal. But at least she can stop that. And Apple has put in some features to help the anti-stalking kind of possibilities happening. And my understanding is they're planning to figure out some more things. That's another reason why they're trying to tell people, don't put it in your kid's backpack for trying to track your kid going to and from school. Don't hang it on your dog collar, because that's not what they designed it for. But they have put in a number of safeguards to keep it from being a
Stalking
used
device.
for bad things.
Yes.
I think is probably the best way to put it. So, but the AirTags for the most part are, for me, they are very helpful for me to do the, where did I leave my keys? Where is my bag? I can keep track of it. And it's pretty nifty. When I was back in Michigan, when we left the Airbnb that we were staying at, and our luggage was still there, I got an alert on my phone that the AirTag was still at that location, just letting me know, which I thought was really great, because that way it's oh, if I left it behind, I can go back and get it. And as the person that has that, let me check the hotel room 3 times before we leave, because I'm always afraid that I've left something behind. This is very, very helpful for me. And hopefully it can be something that's helpful for you or someone you know.
Okay. And Jane has a very interesting question. Jane, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Sure. I was wondering, you were talking about the security where Chita could disable the tracking. So if I had one on my bike and someone stole my bike and they had an iPhone, would they not be alerted as well?
If you had one on your bike and somebody that stole your bike had an iPhone, they would get an alert eventually. Typically, I believe distance and time comes into play, but they would get an alert that there is an AirTag nearby. And at that point, they would have to stop, get off your bike, look around, try to figure out where it is. I think most people that are looking to steal your bicycle are trying to get as far away from you as humanly possible. And while, yes, they could stop, get out, find the tag, take the battery out and disable it, it would give you, the owner, the ability to know where it last had power. Same thing as if somebody stole your iPhone. If somebody walked off with your iPhone, I hate to say it this way, most criminals are stupid. The smart ones know, turn off the device right then and there, because that way tracking stops. They don't see, you can't see what direction they were headed in. But yes, could that happen? Yep. But having it attached to your bicycle, not a bad idea.
Yeah,
It really
sounds
isn't.
good.
And it, at the very least, it gives you peace of mind of knowing, okay, where did I park my bicycle? Why don't I see it where I left it? And hopefully that will be a short time between when you got off the bike and when you were looking for it again, where you could, hopefully pull it up and see where it was going. So, there are terrible people in this world. It happens. I hope it never happens to you, but it happens.
Well, thank you very much.
Very welcome.
And
Chita,
thank you.
can I share something?
Go ahead.
About the AirTags on animals, they actually work great because you can set these devices up to go off, your iPhone go off the minute you're not around them anymore. I work from home. I have a brand new puppy. If he sneaks out somehow, and trust me, they figure out how, the minute he's far enough that the Bluetooth doesn't see it, my phone goes off and says, hey, you left your corgi behind, which is kind of odd, but when I go out to work from a coffee house, if I leave my backpack or keys in the car, the minute I walk a certain amount of distance, I'm not sure, it's not far, my iPhone goes off and says, hey, you left these behind. And most of the time I ignore them. Like my backpack, I don't care. Yes, I know I left the backpack in the car. I'm walking away from it. The keys I do. But as far as the dogs, and another thing you can do with the dogs is I have the corgi trained now that I can set off the AirTag to play. And I hear where he's at if it plays. And he also knows when he hears that play, if he comes back to the house, he gets a treat. So he's already trained to do that. So some interesting things you can do.
That is cool.
Right.
That is
That's
so
that's an
cool.
alert that you can actually turn off as well.
Correct.
Correct. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
one other thing, there was a spooky article about a woman who found an AirTag behind her license plate on her car. Really spooky.
No, see, Mitch, that's the article that I'm referencing, and that was very misleading. And the way they framed it was totally misleading. They, at the very end of this long article, they put like a one paragraph explaining Apple's privacy about the AirTags, but that was after they did this sensational article about how spooky that was. So,
You mean somebody put an article up for just clicks on the internet to
yes,
get people
imagine
to
that.
look for it? Oh
Imagine
no,
that.
where is journalism going?
Okay. All right. Do we have any more questions for Dave and his stocking stuffer gifts before we move on? Okay, thank you, Dave. I really appreciate your input. Thank you so much. Those are great gifts.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sheila,
Dave.
and thank you for everyone that listened to me drone on.
Okay, take care.
Thank
All right,
you.
all right, and stay here because you may be able to answer some questions for us as
Okay.
well going forward. Okay, you only bought one this time. Okay, Debbie. And let me do that. And Debbie also wrote in the chat that she bought one of the mouse pads. Was that you, Debbie, that you bought one of the mouse pads and your husband took it? Who wrote that in the chat?
I wrote it in the chat. You're right, Cheetah.
Okay.
So I had to order another one. It's supposed to come today, thankfully.
Okay. What size did you order?
I got the bigger one, the XXL, so it covers, and the first thing he said was, oh, because we have glass on top of these wood desks
Yes.
we use. And he
Yes.
said, oh, my hands aren't cold anymore. And I mean, he first
There you
said,
go.
no, I don't need that. I don't need it. And then he put it on his desk and then it wasn't mine anymore. So
Absolutely. That is one of the reasons I got it, because your desk is cold. But I'm so glad he loves it. That is so cool. All right. Thank you so much.
I have the 4 foot by 2 foot version. It's black and it covers my entire front. So I can put my mouse anywhere as a pad.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
Yes. I am so glad you guys like that. Thinking out of the box, because that was built for gamers and it works for us. It works for anybody who needs it. So cool.
Jerry King got one also.
Excellent. Excellent.
I did get the wrist pad, but I didn't like it because the bottom of it is not sort of sticky rubbery. So I have one that's got a rubber bottom and I thought I'd try theirs. And it doesn't really work for me at all because it moves around too much.
Okay.
So it's going to the.
Okay. You cut out before you finished.
I said it's going to the thrift store.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you like the other ones.
Yeah.
All right.
It was great.
Okay. All right. So now is my turn. Let me share my screen. All right. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So today we're going to finish up with the Q&A, and these are some of the questions that I got today. Any recommendation for repairing a Time Machine hard drive? Time Machine can't find the disk. When I select the drive in Finder, I get the spinning beach ball. I have to relaunch Finder to stop the ball. Disk utility won't fix it. Okay, my immediate response to this was ditch the drive. If you're having these many problems with the drive and you don't believe that the issue is Time Machine, ditch the drive. If you feel that you're having an issue with Time Machine, I would have the same response to you, ditch the drive. Because if it can't be fixed, and Time Machine is so specific and finicky, and drives are so inexpensive, I would ditch the drive and just, say, unless you have an additional Time Machine backup, just get a new drive and start your backup again. So this question was from Greg. I don't think Greg is here. But do we have anyone who has a comment about their Time Machine drive experience or a response to this question?
Cheetah, I do. This is Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
I've gone through 3 generations of NAS devices that I use for backups for Time Machine.
Yes.
And the only thing that always gives me the problem is Time Machine. When you said finicky, I almost wanted to clap. So I still use it, but it's a backup of my backups. I use other tools to back up online and also to another drive because they're not finicky, they're better. Time Machine, that will never again be my primary backup. But the only thing that would always fix the issues with those is powering off the NAS and powering it on again. Somehow forcing the Mac to see it again would generally fix the problem. But I got so tired of that again, if I come home and there's a problem, like I said, I just power it off, power it back on, and it sees it again and the backup will run. But and it doesn't even tell you it's failed. I generally have to go up there and click on it and see, wow, the last backup was 3 weeks ago. It doesn't even tell you it's not backing up.
That is sometimes
unless there's
true.
a setting. So
Yes.
anyway,
Okay.
it is now not a primary. So
Peter, you have a comment?
Yes, I do. Provided your Time Machine drive is in HFS Plus format, the old LSoft Disk Warrior application can still repair the directory, even though it's of no use for any other drives, because they simply haven't updated for about 3 years. But if it's in APFS format, chuck it.
Okay, great. And Peter just referenced AllSoft Disk Warrior. Disk Warrior is an excellent app for troubleshooting drives and fixing things. It can go well beyond what disk utility can do. Right. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. And Jane, your question was, can you format the drive first before ditching? I do not reformat the drive. I take the drive apart, because even if a drive is reformatted, there are systems that can dig back into that drive. And I will actually take the drive apart, and I keep those shiny little discs because I'm going to make some type of collage with them. So that's my response to that. This way, nobody gets your data.
Okay,
Right?
I was thinking of it more as a solution. I did that one time with an inaccessible external disk drive, and I reformatted it and it worked after that. So I was just wondering if maybe I was just thinking it worked, but it really didn't, maybe.
It may have, but if a drive is consistently giving me as much trouble as Greg says this drive is, it's not worth me reformatting it, because I still don't know what's wrong with this drive.
Okay. Very good.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. All right, last comment. Lawrence, go ahead.
Oh, well, listening to the conversation on these Time Machine backups, the Apple products were clearly named Airport. There is an Airport utility, and you can go look at the status of your drive and see whether it's doing. People tend to think too broadly. And so whether it's a Apple Airport time capsule or an Airport Express, it's still an Airport device. Okay? I actually took my 2 terabyte Airport time capsules and opened them up and took out the 2 terabyte drives and replaced them with 8 terabyte drives. And once you get in there, you can go to the disk and you can archive the Time Machine backup. You can wipe it clean and format it from there. There are other utilities, which I'm not familiar with, to diagnose the health of a drive. But I find a lot of people tend to make issues too complex. Step back and think about what it is you're dealing with. And I just looked at my 2, and actually I have my 2 Airport devices configured as a subnet off of my cable modem's wireless network.
Okay, but Greg did not say that this was an Airport device. This is his Time Machine hard drive. that those can be two different items. You do have a time machine that I believe that you could back up via wireless, but this is a hard drive that is connected to his computer. They're two different items.
I have a time machine backup on an external hard drive, another different 8 terabyte device in a USB connected device. I am speaking, most people confuse airport devices, and the time machine is the software backup program that utilizes the device. It's like Mac OS and a Mac computer.
I get that, but we're
Thank
talking
you.
two
I'm
different
done.
things here right now. Okay, thank you. Dave, do you want to make a quick comment? Dave McGuire?
I'd love to. So to what he was trying to explain, disk utility is what you'd use to access your drive in a time capsule. Time capsule is a product that was made by Apple that is an airport device, but it has the hard drive built in. And I applaud him for upgrading his drives in his. It's fantastic. The Airport Extreme did not support external hard drives to it under that USB port, unless you were really good with fidgeting things. But out of the box, it was not designed for that. So your Airport Extreme is a great wireless device. The time capsule was the same thing with the drive in, which you could use for Time Machine, which is software, to make a backup to. So at my parents' house, there's a time capsule upstairs, and that way my dad doesn't have to remember to plug in the laptop to make a backup. It does it over the air. It is slow doing it that way, but it does it that way. Luckily, he does not have that much important information that has not been backed up a second way to make life easier for him and for me. So going this route, yeah, I get where he was going with his description, but the utilities that you're using, airport utility is to help you fix or set up your wireless network, where disk utility is what gives you the access to the drive. I have not had a whole lot of luck getting time machine backups to come off of a hard drive removed from a time capsule, but again, your mileage may vary.
Okay.
So at this point in time, you've got options there. For the average user, the time capsule was Apple's answer to a set it up and forget about it device until it died. And unfortunately, that did happen. And like with everything in life, it's going to happen sooner or later. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Thank you, Dave. All right, let's move on. I appreciate all of the response to that question. All right, let's move on to the next question. Using the activity tracker on my Apple Watch, listening to podcasts, etc., via my iPhone, the Apple Watch calls off each mile traveled, but through the Apple Watch speaker. Is there a way to get these notifications to play through my AirPods Pro instead? Okay, is Jeff here today? Jeff is not here. All right, so what's happening is that while Jeff is doing his activity and listening to podcasts, he is not getting the feedback through his AirPods Pro. It's coming out through his watch. I tried doing this both ways. I tried with a podcast coming through my Apple Watch. I tried with a podcast coming through my iPhone. Each time I was listening with my AirPods Pro, and each time everything worked as it should. So I'm thinking that maybe Jeff does not have voice feedback turned on his devices, which would then send the information through the speaker of the Apple Watch. So if you're having this issue, try setting up your iPhone and going through the Apple Watch app, go through workout, and then toggle on voice feedback. For your Apple Watch, you can go to settings, go to workout, and toggle voice feedback on. And this should work for you. It's really cool. All right, any questions on this? And I don't see any, so let's move on. All right, regarding alerts and texts on Apple Watch, I can dismiss all or X them, but sometimes I see a list of all texts. I then have to delete them one by one. Is that necessary? Okay, Linda, are you here? Linda Farabee? Did Linda leave?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, there you are. We need to talk. What is, you said you have this is just one or two questions of a gang of questions that Linda sent me. What's going on with your Apple Watch? What's the problem?
That's a hard question for me to answer.
So now you know how I felt with all these questions you sent. It's like,
all right, on my watch, when I get an alert, and I may dismiss it or swipe left and hit the X.
Yes.
Then occasionally it's like I've come back to the messages index or the Apple Mail index, where I see all my mail messages. I'm using this as a comparison. I see all my mail messages and I have to delete or answer or do whatever. All right, I see all these text messages or alerts on my phone, and it's as if I have to clear them out in order to get rid of them. Is that necessary? Are they really there, or are they somewhere else? Is that any more clear than before?
Just vaguely. Okay. So clearing off an alert is not the same as clearing off the message. An alert is just an alert. It's a separate animal.
All right.
Okay. So if you want to dismiss all of your alerts, there is a clear all at the top of the notification center where you can clear all so that you don't have to be bothered with them at all.
Okay.
But once you go into your messages or your mail, you have those as separate items that the alert regarding them is gone, but the specific item is still there.
Right.
Okay. So if you aren't, once you're inside the mail or the messages, yes, you will have to delete them one by one.
Are they not deleted when I delete off my computer or my iPhone?
They should be. And that is, yes, they should be, but should be is the operative phrase right there. And I sort of answer that in a couple of slides. So if you could let me go forward, I will come back around to you.
Please.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. And thank you. Appreciate the questions. All right. So let's move on. The problem with the Magic Keyboard, when typing, it jumps to a line above. If an email, it will close the email. It does not happen when I'm using the iPad keyboard. Okay, so this sounds like a problem directly with the Apple Magic Keyboard. I do not have one of these, and my philosophy is when something starts misbehaving, you know, you do your online search, you try to find solutions, and at some point, you also know that stuff wears out and it just stops working. So, Anne, are you here today? And it's not here. So I don't have one of these. Does anyone else have problems with these Apple Magic keyboards? No? So she was saying that restarting, that's backwards. She was saying that restarting was some of the solutions that were given, but after a while that can get old as well. Okay, so Dave is saying he has no problem with his. So I don't know if it could be a faulty unit for her, or at some point things just have stopped working the way they should. John is saying no as well. And another David had no problem with his. So I don't know if this is just a one-off unit that has just started behaving badly. And the recourse is to either keep restarting your iPad or to eventually move on to another product. So that's my response to this one. All right, next question. Sometimes I put a contact into one device and it doesn't show up on the others, and then on another occasion it does. How can I troubleshoot this? All right, this question, Michael, did you leave? Michael just told me he was leaving. Michael, did you leave? Michael left. Okay. Yep, Michael just left. All right, so my recommendation for here is that if you're going to enter a contact, enter it into your iDevice, because your iDevice will put it into iCloud, where it will then sync everywhere. But you can also, not a but you can also, if you go to contacts on your computer, you can put contacts into iCloud, and you can also put contacts only on your computer. So your computer gives you two separate locations where your iDevice only gives you one. So if you're having a problem syncing and making sure something is getting to one place, enter it on your iDevice, and it's ensured, quotation marks, it's ensured to get to all locations, Mac and iDevices. And with that, let me also say that sometimes syncing is not as magical and instant as you hope it should be. You might have to sign out of your Apple ID and then sign back into it. So those are items that you can also do. But I recommend signing in or putting it on your iDevice. Okay. Station for the keyboard. Okay, you're welcome. All right, let's move on. I just changed to an iPhone 13. I used to get my text messages to my iPad as well as my iPhone. Now I am just getting them to my iPhone. Is there something in settings I need to change on my iPhone so they will appear on both? I would recommend, since you got a new iPhone, that you, on your other devices, sign out of your Apple ID on your other devices. And Wanda, are you here? Where is everybody today? Okay, Wanda's not here. Again, I would recommend her signing out on her iPad and then signing back in to see if everything then syncs. You have a question or comment, Alan?
Yes, I have a question about your contacts on different machines.
Go ahead.
Does it also work on calendars? If I put an object in my calendar on my iDevice, will it automatically show up on my computer?
Yes, it should, and I want to say will, but yes, it should. But I've also noticed that on calendar events, it does take a minute, and you might have to like go out of that app. Like if I put an event on my calendar on my computer and then go directly to my iPhone, it may not be there. I would have to like force quit the calendar app on my iPhone, and then when I come back in, it might show up immediately. It might not. Syncing takes a little bit of time. Okay, so try it that way.
But if I put it in on my iDevice, my iPhone, my watch, it will eventually show up on my computer's calendar as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Alan. Okay. All right, let's move on.
Can I ask a question that's a variant of that maybe?
Go ahead.
I have a friend, I know it sounds weird, but it's true. And he doesn't have support, so he can't call Apple. I don't know why he doesn't just try it. Most of the time they don't ask, but he has a phone that all of a sudden, when he gets the messages us from our group, we're all iPhone users except for one person who is what's the other one? Whatever.
Android.
Yes. For whatever reason, when we send a group text to him, he gets it by himself, and when he sends one, it's by himself. I don't understand we've tried logging him out, logging him back in. No matter what we try, our group text to him, he doesn't get it as group.
And this is the person who has the iPhone or doesn't
That
have
has the iPhone. The person had the problem who was the other phone. She had the problem till I told her, get out of that chat, close it, delete it, and let me send you a new one. And then she worked fine. Somehow she was using a chat before she got her new phone. It's kind of weird, but her new phone is now working. But and maybe that's when it started with him, when she got that new phone. We're not sure, but no matter what, he can't be in that group. We don't understand. He can still do the discussion, but it's like he's doing it by himself.
Has he tried deleting that thread and you sending it to him anew?
Yes. I work in IT. I try to fix problems like this all the time. We're out of ideas. We're just out. I mean,
I don't
there's
know.
a setting you go in and make sure he's using all the phone number and email address.
Right.
It's weird.
You're stumped.
I thought I'd try.
Okay. I don't have a quick answer for you, and like you'd have to go through a lot of troubleshooting. Maybe it's something that put it in the chat, and maybe some of our iPhone people can respond and give you some answers. Okay. To eventually for less. Okay. All right. So here, iPhone 13, is there a way to put the percent charged at the top of the front of the phone instead of just the bar? I know you can swipe to the right and there's a widget for it, and you can move that widget to the front, but I don't want to take up the space. The answer to that is a no, because of the new design of the later model phones. That notch is taking up space. So whereas with some of the other phones, you actually had a toggle in settings under battery where you could set percentage for the bar, you can no longer do this with the newer model phones. Right? Okay, let's move on.
I have a possible solution. Peter Emery.
Go ahead, Peter.
What I do with my 13 mini is I just drag down on just to start the control center, and that will show a percentage then.
Yeah,
right.
I do the same thing. If you put your finger at the top right, just gently pull down just half an inch, you'll see your percentage, and then just let go and you're back.
Right. That is true. So if you want to pull down from the notification center, you can see it, but there is no just lifting up your phone to see that percentage. Thank you both. Okay, next question. Okay, using iCloud between two devices is painfully slow for me. Dropbox is immediate. Microsoft OneDrive is also very fast, but in second place speed-wise. iCloud is dead last. What can I do to make this faster? Okay, I don't know. My first thought is maybe you can add more space to see if that might help. If you have a lot of, I want to say, intensive like video files, maybe that's weighing it down. I agree with you. There are times when iCloud can be painfully slow, and I don't use it for certain files. It's just too slow for me to do that. I don't know what you can do to speed it up. Does anyone know or have an idea what a suggestion on how to speed up the syncing on iCloud other than to bang on Apple's head? I guess that would be.
Chita,
Yes, go ahead.
the obvious is the storage space and how much is left.
Right.
And I was told that when it's around 30% left, you can start having problems.
Okay, that's a good to know. All right, so that question is from Brian. So Brian?
What about the Wi-Fi connection?
I have 2 terabytes and it's maybe 150 gigabytes used. So there's plenty of storage space on both ends.
Okay. Personally, my go-to is Dropbox for all of my files. I do have files up in iCloud, but they aren't like big intensive files. They're usually just text files or something. I just find iCloud to be slower than I would want it to be. So I wish I could help you or give you a better answer, but you're experiencing the same thing I experienced.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
okay.
Does that include
You're quite welcome.
Monterey?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
Does that include Monterey and the changes maybe that have been made to that?
I couldn't even venture to answer that. I don't know.
iCloud has been slow forever.
It has, and I can only tell you that I actually tried to substitute iCloud for Dropbox, and it was an abject failure. So there you go. All right, let's move.
I don't have a solution, but I have a workaround because I work from home all the time and I'm always behind my Mac.
Go ahead.
I've always been told by Apple and some other experts that I always have iCloud open on the browser. So if I've put anything up from any device, for whatever reason I can't get to it for the other device, I always get it when I'm on the cloud, on the browser, looking at it there.
That's
so
good. Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of the location it goes to first.
Okay.
I mean, it's sitting out there on the cloud. For whatever reason, when you're accessing it from the browser, it's there. If you've uploaded it from one device, you're going to see it on the cloud in the browser.
Okay.
Now, you might not see it from the other iPad. If you sent something from the iPhone, you might not see it on the iPad yet. But if you always have the browser open, you look in there, and I know that's not a solution necessarily. I've always seen it. It's always there.
Like you said, that's a workaround because that's where it goes first before it then syncs to the other items. So that's a workaround that you might consider, Brian. All right. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. All right. Next question. Can you share an iPhone movie while on FaceTime? Can you start? Duration limit. What iPhone and computers can share iPhone movies while on FaceTime? Do you need an app to share FaceTime, to share iPhone movies with while on FaceTime? Have I and we got a class for you? All of these questions will be answered with our first class of the season in January the 8th, Zoom and FaceTime with Dan Wazik. So if you want these questions answered and more, please sign up for this class. So that's my best and only answer that I'm giving to this question. All right, let's move on. In the past, I've used image capture to see, sort, and transfer photos from iPhone to local hard drive. The iPhone connects to Mac, Big Sur, and using the Finder, I can see the photos. I like to sort on file type to target my TIFFs and DNGs to transfer. The process starts and then abruptly disconnects. Melissa, are you here? Okay, I don't think Melissa is here. All right, so in my experience, I have used image capture a lot. I have found it to be an app that has never been stable. You can use it for a while, and let's say I used it for an hour, and at an hour 01, it may decide that it doesn't want to work. It'll freeze or it'll do something, and I'll have to restart it, and it'll work for a few minutes and then it won't. So I love image capture. It has a couple of things I wish were better, but it has never been stable for me the entire time I've ever used it on my Macs, which have been, decades. So in that, I have used Bridge, Adobe Bridge, to download my images from my iPhone. And I'm showing you this because Adobe Bridge is free for you to use. You don't have to have an Adobe subscription to use it. You can download it and use it. It's basically like a organization app on steroids. This app is awesome. You can do a lot of things with it. You can work with it to organize your computer. You can move things, copy things. There's a lot of different commands that you can use with Bridge, as well as downloading the apps from your camera, your phone, or any device, any disk. And again, it is free. You can just download it from the Adobe site, and I'm going to put a download link in the chat. You don't have to have a subscription. You don't have to have any other Adobe apps to use Adobe Bridge. And it is a worthwhile app to have, just to use to help organize your computer. Okay, so I've put that in the chat, and let's move on. I want to get to that question. All right, I have an iPhone, MacBook Pro, and iPad. For any messages sent or received when deleted from any device, stay on the others. Can that be changed, or is that normal? The answer to that is yes for both, because you can select your messages to not be in iCloud. If they're not in iCloud, they're just on the devices. If they're not in iCloud, they don't sync across all your devices. So that's an option that you actually turn on. And if you open up messages and go to preferences, you can select enable messages on iCloud, and then all of your messages will be up in the iCloud. If you go to your phone and go to your Apple ID, you can also toggle this on so that all of your messages will then sync up to iCloud. So the answer actually is both. It can be changed, and yes, it is normal. And okay, that question was from Ken. Hopefully Ken is here. And let's move on. So actually, and also, Linda, that sort of answers your question about where your messages are. You can have the iCloud enable an iCloud selected in order for them to be saved in iCloud.
May I ask? I think
yes.
The light bulb just went on.
Okay.
What I'm seeing on my watch is really in the cloud?
Yes, because your Apple Watch mirrors your iPhone. It doesn't really store all of that information. I would imagine that some information may be stored, but it's really mirroring what's on your iPhone.
That's
why.
That's
yeah,
fine.
That's why some of your questions threw me, because it's not stored there. It's just a mirror. Okay.
I got it now. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Happy to help.
Chita.
Yes.
In messages on my phone, there isn't anything that gives me an on and off to the cloud in the settings for messages.
There is in mine. What phone do you have?
No, but I think you said it was in a different place than on the computer.
Yeah, it's
You
a
went to
different
the
place.
app.
Oh,
Yeah.
I went to the app settings.
In
On the iPhone 13 Pro
on the
Max.
on the iPhone, it should be in settings, Apple ID. I'm sorry, it's in your Apple ID.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, I also had a question about, I wonder if there's any information that you could share about the usage and setup of iCloud. Once again, the answer is, have we got a class for you? In our class season, iCloud and iCloud Drive will be discussed extensively by Joe Kissel. He will explain how to use it and the features, and the class date is February the 19th. Victoria, that is sort of my answer to your question in the chat, because desktop and documents is something that he does cover, and I can't really go into it and explain it because that's a meeting all by itself. Okay, so that's my answer to this question. Next question. And actually, time is up. So what I will do is just answer this. How do you share your Wi-Fi password through AirDrop with someone? Both you, this person that you're sharing it with, you have to be in their contacts, and they have to have the email address that you use for your Apple ID. And once you get close to one another, if you open up the settings, their phone will then ask for the password, and your phone will ask you to send it to them. And it will happen so fast, you may not even notice it. That's what happened when I shared this with someone who came to my home years ago when people were allowed in your homes. So there you go. All right, so with that, I am going to, with that, I'm going to end my presentation, and George, it's all yours. Thank you everyone for your questions.